A chicken in every pot, a promise of prosperity or a path to dependence. This phrase, once a beacon of hope, now serves as a cautionary tale. The year was 1928. America was riding high on the wave of the Roaring Twenties, a decade marked by unprecedented economic growth and cultural change. Yet, beneath the surface, storm clouds were gathering. America was on the cusp of the Great Depression, a period that would bring untold hardship and suffering to millions. Herbert Hoover, the Republican presidential candidate, promised a chicken in every pot and a car in every garage. This slogan was more than just a campaign promise. It was a vision of prosperity and security for every American family. It was a potent image, evoking abundance and opportunity. Families envisioned a future where they could enjoy the fruits of their labor, where hard work would be rewarded with tangible benefits. But was it a promise based on sound principles or a recipe for disaster? Economists and political analysts of the time were divided. Some saw it as a natural progression of the American dream, while others warned of the dangers of over-reliance on government promises. Hoover's campaign slogan, while catchy, masked a dangerous trend: the steady expansion of government into the lives of its citizens. This expansion was not just about providing for the needy, it was about increasing control and influence over everyday life. The belief that government could solve all of society's ills was gaining traction. This belief, while comforting to some, was seen by others as a slippery slope towards dependency and loss of individual autonomy. This paternalistic approach, while well-intentioned, set the stage for a dramatic shift in the relationship between the individual and the state. The promise of government aid came with strings attached, strings that would bind citizens to the whims of policymakers. Fast forward to the present day. The echoes of Hoover's promise can still be heard, resonating through the corridors of power and the streets of America. The echoes of Hoover's promise can be heard in the grand pronouncements of the Biden-Harris administration. Their vision of a more equitable society includes ambitious proposals that aim to provide for the needs of every citizen. Free healthcare, free college, a Green New Deal. These proposals, while superficially appealing, raise a critical question: at what cost? The allure of these promises is undeniable, but they come with significant financial and societal implications. The allure of free stuff is undeniable. It promises immediate relief and support, a safety net in times of need. But this safety net can quickly become a web of dependency. But as the saying goes, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Every benefit provided by the government must be paid for, either through taxes, debt, or the erosion of personal freedoms. Every government handout comes with a hidden price tag, a price tag often paid for in lost freedom, economic stagnation, and increased dependence on the state. The challenge lies in finding a balance between providing necessary support and fostering a culture of self-reliance and innovation. As we navigate the complexities of modern governance, we must remember the lessons of the past. Prosperity and independence are not mutually exclusive. They can coexist if we are mindful of the costs and vigilant in preserving our freedoms. The promise of prosperity should not lead us down a path to dependence. Instead, it should inspire us to build a society where opportunity is abundant, and every individual has the chance to thrive on their own terms.
Echoes of the past, the Biden-Harris administration's ambitious agenda. The Biden-Harris administration has embarked on an ambitious agenda, aiming to reshape the nation's future with a series of transformative policies. Promising to fundamentally transform America, they have set forth a vision that seeks to address long-standing issues and pave the way for a brighter future. Their vision includes a dramatic expansion of the social safety net, ensuring that every American has access to essential services and support. A transition to a green economy is also a cornerstone of their agenda, with investments in renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. Additionally, they aim to create a more equitable society, addressing systemic inequalities and promoting social justice for all. These goals, while laudable, are not without their critics. The administration faces significant opposition from various quarters. Opponents argue that the proposed policies are unrealistic, fiscally irresponsible, and could lead to economic instability. They claim that these measures represent a dangerous creep towards socialism, undermining the principles of a free market economy. Critics point to the massive increase in government spending, the growing national debt, and the potential for runaway inflation as evidence of their concerns. They warn that such policies could lead to higher prices and reduced purchasing power for everyday Americans. On the other hand, the administration's supporters counter that these measures are necessary to address pressing issues like income inequality and climate change. They argue that the wealthy can afford to pay more in taxes, and that this revenue is crucial for funding essential programs. Supporters believe that government intervention is essential to create a more just and sustainable future, with investments in public infrastructure and community development. However, the question remains, can the government effectively and efficiently solve these complex problems? The success of these policies will depend on their implementation and management. Critics worry that government intervention could stifle innovation, making it harder for new ideas and businesses to thrive. There is also concern that such policies could create a culture of dependency, where individuals rely too heavily on government assistance instead of seeking self-sufficiency. As the nation watches closely, the debate over the Biden-Harris administration's ambitious agenda continues. The outcome will shape the future of America for generations to come. Only time will tell if these bold initiatives will lead to the transformative change envisioned, or if they will falter under the weight of their own ambition.
The slippery slope from social welfare to socialist control? The road to hell, as they say, is paved with good intentions. What begins as well-meaning attempts to alleviate poverty and provide for the less fortunate can quickly morph into a system of government control that stifles individual initiative and erodes personal freedom. The allure of socialism lies in its promise of equality and security, but this promise is a false one. History has shown time and again that socialist experiments inevitably lead to economic stagnation, political repression, and the erosion of individual liberty. When the government controls the means of production, it also controls the lives of its citizens. Individual choice is replaced by government decree. Innovation is stifled by bureaucratic inefficiency, and the human spirit, deprived of the opportunity to strive and succeed, withers under the weight of government control.
Section 4. History's Warning: The Perils of Government Overreach. The 20th century is littered with the wreckage of failed socialist experiments. From the Soviet Union to Maoist China, from Castro's Cuba to Chavez's Venezuela, the results have been tragically consistent: economic ruin, political oppression, and widespread human suffering. These cautionary tales should serve as a stark warning to those who believe that socialism offers a viable path to a more just and equitable society. The siren song of government control may be tempting, but its consequences are dire. The United States was founded on the principles of individual liberty, limited government, and free markets. These principles, enshrined in the Constitution, have been the driving force behind America's unparalleled success. To abandon these principles in pursuit of a socialist utopia is to court disaster.
Section 5. The crushing weight of government, economic stagnation, and the erosion of freedom. When government grows too large, it becomes a burden on the very people it is supposed to serve. The layers of bureaucracy and endless paperwork create a maze that citizens must navigate, often leading to frustration and inefficiency. Excessive taxation, stifling regulations, and bureaucratic red tape stifle innovation, discourage investment, and hinder economic growth. Businesses, both large and small, find it increasingly difficult to thrive under such conditions. Entrepreneurs, who are the lifeblood of economic dynamism, are particularly hard hit. The free market, while not perfect, is the greatest engine of prosperity the world has ever known. It has lifted millions out of poverty and created unprecedented wealth and opportunities. The principles of supply and demand, competition, and consumer choice drive this engine. It is driven by individual initiative, competition, and the pursuit of profit. These forces encourage efficiency, innovation, and the optimal allocation of resources. Entrepreneurs take risks, create jobs, and drive economic growth. When the government interferes in the market, it distorts these natural forces, leading to inefficiency, waste, and economic stagnation. Government intervention often results in unintended consequences, such as market distortions and resource misallocation. Moreover, as government expands, so too does its power over the lives of its citizens. This expansion often comes at the cost of individual freedoms and personal autonomy. The more the state controls, the less room there is for personal choice and self-determination. Individual liberty is gradually eroded as the state encroaches on more and more aspects of our lives. The freedom to make personal decisions, to express oneself, and to pursue one's own path becomes increasingly restricted. The right to free speech, a cornerstone of democratic society, is often one of the first casualties. When the government controls the narrative, dissenting voices are silenced, and public discourse is stifled. The right to bear arms, a fundamental aspect of personal security and freedom, is also threatened. Government overreach can lead to restrictive laws that infringe on this right. The right to religious freedom, the ability to worship freely and without fear of persecution, is another liberty at risk. Government interference in religious practices can lead to a loss of cultural and spiritual diversity. All of these fundamental liberties are threatened by an overreaching government. The balance between state power and individual freedom is delicate, and it is crucial to remain vigilant in protecting our rights.
Section 6. A house divided, sowing discord and fanning the flames of unrest. A society divided against itself cannot stand. Yet the policies being pursued by the Biden-Harris administration threaten to tear apart the very fabric of America. By pitting rich against poor, black against white, urban against rural, these policies sow the seeds of discord and resentment. The politics of envy and resentment may be effective in the short term, but they are ultimately destructive. They create a climate of hostility and distrust, making it impossible to address the very real challenges facing our nation. A government that seeks to divide its people for political gain is a government that has lost its way. True leadership unites, it does not divide. It seeks to find common ground, not exploit differences.
Section 7. Safeguarding liberty. The enduring importance of economic freedom. The American experiment in self-government is a precious and fragile thing. It is founded on the belief that individuals are capable of governing themselves, that government should be limited in its scope and power, and that economic freedom is essential to individual liberty. These principles are under attack today as never before. The siren song of socialism, with its false promises of equality and security, is tempting to some, but we must not succumb to its allure. The only way to safeguard our liberty and preserve our prosperity is to return to the principles that made America great. We must reject the siren song of socialism and embrace the principles of limited government, individual responsibility, and free markets. Only then can we ensure that the American dream remains a reality for generations to come.